everyone, it's Vanessa here from Love Riley. Today I'm going to be making the Teresita Train Case by Oro Rosa Patterns. I'm absolutely in love with how this turned out. There were a lot of firsts on this bag. I've never made a train case before. I've never quilted before, so both of those I can tick off my list. And quilting, little bit obsessed, may need to do it on a lot more bags. It was a lot easier than I thought it would be. So this is the finished case. Look at how good that base looks. I generally don't do curves well, but this was so easy to do and it sewed up very, very quickly. The only modifications that I made was I'm selling this as a cosmetic case. There are instructions in the pattern to add card slots to the back, add connectors, and turn this into a handbag with a crossbody strap. I didn't do that. In the pattern, it does call for strap ends on the ends of this handle. I didn't have any in that size, so what I've done is instead of leaving it as a raw edge, I've encased it, I've folded it over so that it's not a raw edge, and I go through how I do that in the video. I believe they're the only things that I changed, and as I said, I omitted the card slots, changed the ends of the handle, and that's it. So let's look inside. So this is the top panel. You could, if you're selling this as a beauty bag, you could add a layer of a strip of elastic there so that you can slot makeup pieces in there. You could also add some mesh in there and give it a mesh pocket. There's lots that you can do. So that's the inside. It's got a lot of room. The lining I did out of a custom printed waterproof canvas. I used fold over elastic for my binding. The vinyl I got from Spotlight. It sewed up perfectly. I didn't have any issues with it. Changes. The only thing that I would change the only thing I will change when I make this again is with the handle. I probably will do a box stitch before I add my Chicago screws, just to stop it from twisting around so that it stays secure, or stays in place I should say, because it is secure. The back panel in the pattern, it does call for card slots, and obviously adding those will give you more stability within the bag. If next time I make this, I make it as a beauty bag, I probably won't do the card slots. So what I would do would add a piece of either Decaville heavy or light in this back panel piece to give it more oomph. If you wanted, this is, I mean, it's squishy because it's foam, but it still springs straight back. If you wanted this to be more rigid, you could add a layer of Decaville light or heavy, probably light because you do have foam, out of your seam allowances and sew that on when you do your quilting. I'm not sure how that would differ. I might have to try it. This is the first time that I've ever sewn this train case. I've never tried this pattern. Alexis was very kind to let me do videos on my channel of her patterns, so thank you. And I love Oro Rosa patterns. They are incredible. I think my first ever Oro Rosa pattern was the Erica Bowler bag. I just dove straight in with that one, and I still love to make that bag, so I might have to do that as well. And yeah, I think that's it. So I'm definitely going to be making more of these. I'm not sure whether my customers would like it as a bag. I might put something up on a poll up on Facebook and see what I get back. But yeah, Absolutely, absolutely incredible pattern. So very quick and simple to sew. You'd be able to knock one of these out really quickly if you had a birthday party for a girlfriend and you may have forgotten that it was coming and you need a quick gift. This is certainly one of those. So thank you so much for watching. If you liked the video, please let me know. Let me know what other patterns you'd love me to make. And thanks so much for watching. Have a great day. Bye. I'm going to start with my quilting panel. I've never ever quilted anything before, so I'm interested to see how this goes. All I did was lined up my ruler, picked a spot that I liked on an angle, and all of these are just 1 inch wide, and then I did the same going the opposite direction. This is just a marker that I can wipe off. So on the wrong side, I've just got some double-sided tape. I'm just going to remove this and stick my foam down. That way it doesn't shift when I sew it. But I've got to be careful that I don't wipe the lines off the other side. So I hope they're still all okay when I turn this over. I didn't want to use too much double-sided tape because I know that my needle's going to have to go through it, but it is what it is. That's why I just need it to stay there until I start sewing. Oh, good, they're all still good. So I'm just going to place my foam in the center. The marker that I've used on the front is just, I'll be able to wipe it off once I've quilted it all. And I've got my stitch length on 4.5, so let's see how this goes, fingers crossed. So I guess you just turn it round and come the opposite way. I don't want to have to cut the jump stitch every time. Well, I guess maybe. I guess you can just go across the bottom until you get to another line. And then come. I think I just prefer to just cut it and then move over to the next one. I think so. I think that's what I'll do. Okay, so I've finished all of the ones for that direction. That's what it looks like on the back. And now I'll go ahead and do them all in the opposite direction. Lucky last. And that's it. So I'll just go ahead and grab a baby wipe. Just wipe off all of my markings. So that's what it looks like on the back. And they're my quilted lines. Okay, I'm just going to go over the pattern pieces that I have here. I have my main body. That's the one that I quilted earlier. So I've got an exterior and a lining. The vinyl that I'm using here, I've never ever used on a bag before. This is a vinyl from Spotlight that I got, and this waterproof canvas is a custom print. So I've got an external and a lining. One each. I have my zipper tape. I've cut mine to a little bit longer in the pattern so I have more room to work with that. I have my handle. I have my top trim, one vinyl or one exterior and one lining. I'm not doing the card slots for mine, and I'm not having mine as a crossbody bag. Mine's just going to be a cosmetic bag or cosmetic case. I have the back panel, one exterior, one lining. They're not interfaced at all. And then I have my top and bottom panel, two exterior and two lining. The exterior I have interfaced as per the pattern. So I have my layer of Decaville Heavy, and then I've done a woven over the top. So that's top and bottom external. I also, because I want this to be extra sturdy, I also interfaced my lining pieces with a medium woven as well. Because I'm not making this a crossbody bag, there is minimal hardware. I do have it here because I'm not sure what zipper pulls I'm going to use. I have my handmade tag, one of those. I'm not sure if I'll use it. When it comes to putting it on the pattern, on the front panel, if it means that I have to cut through the stitching of my quilting, I won't put it on. But if I can get it on where it needs to be without cutting through the stitching, then I'll put it on. I've got these zipper pulls here. I'm just not sure if these ones are going to be too big. So I'm not sure if I'll use these. These are from Dreamy Bag Hardware. I've got these big round, just round zipper pulls, two of those. I'm not sure if I want to use those or if I want to use just these pretty square ones. I'll probably use these ones. I'll wait and see though. So two of those, and that's all the hardware. So if you, and I've got Chicago screws for the handle. So if you were just making this as a cosmetic case, as I am, all you would need in terms of hardware are two zipper pulls and your rivets or Chicago screws. You don't even have to put the handmade tag on if you don't want to. So let's jump into getting this done. I've got my centers marked here. I'm just going to use my chalk pencil. That'll just wipe off. So that's my center line there. And it tells you in the pattern how far down to place your logo or your handmade tag. So I'm just going to mark that, which is right there. But I need to get the washer. So on my washer, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So that's my center there. So I know that it's the second and the last one. So I will be able to put my tag on because it's not going to cut through my stitching. So I'm just going to mark that last one there, and then the second last one here. And that's where I want to cut the holes for my handmade tag. Just be careful, you don't want to cut through the stitching. There. And I just do it with the blade pointing up to the roof. And just wipe that off. Pop that back on because I'm likely to stab myself. Now I want to put my handmade tag through there just like that. Come to the back. So you can see on the back here that I have not cut through any of the stitching. I've got an off-cut piece of Decaville Heavy. Just going to mark on the back of this. Second last and last. Just marking, cutting those slits. I'm just going to back that with Decaville Heavy. The foam that I've put on that piece should be enough, but you never know. And then that goes on. And it's up to you whether you put your prongs in or out. I'm going to put mine in. I've got a piece of quite wide double-sided tape that I got from the discount shop in town. And I'm just going to put that over the back. And then that way it won't rub through onto my lining and cause a hole. I'm just going to put 2 layers just because I have not interfaced my lining. And that piece and that pack is done. So we move on to the next one. So that's what that looks like. We'll move on. So that is that, and the top trim, the zipper. What I am going to do is while I'm just going to skip this step just for a second, and I'm just going to do the handle. So in the pattern, part of your hardware are strap ends to put on the end of your handle. I don't have any that are small enough. So what I'm going to do is, because I don't want to edge coat this, is I've just marked a line that's 1/2 inch in on each side. And I'm going to fold in my raw edges to that 1/2 inch line, and I'm just going to top stitch just this short edge. So I'm going to do that on both sides. So I've just folded those short edges in, and I'm just going to top stitch just on the edge. Then what I'm going to do is fold so I've marked a line down the center. I put double-sided tape on each edge, and I'm just going to put this just below that center line because I need to fold it over again. Going to clip that because there is no double-sided tape on that end. Fold this side in, and again I'm just leaving a gap just in the center so that when I fold it over it gives me the room that I need to fold it over. So then I'm going to fold it over again, matching up these edges, and I'm just going to clip that. I'm just going to go ahead and stitch this, top stitch this at 1/8 of an inch. It is going to be thicker on that end, so I just want to I'll just use a piece of foam just to help me come off there so that I don't tear up the vinyl. I do just want to come down there where I stitched earlier. I didn't want to have to go and buy strap ends just in this size just for this pattern, so that's why I'm doing it this way. Through there, and that's it. That's my handle done. And it's finished at the edges, so there's no raw edges at all. So that's how it's going to be on the bag, and you can see the edges are nice and clean, they're not raw. And perfect. So now I can move on to the next step. So we set that aside. Get all this bit. So this is pack number 3. I just decided to go ahead and use the square pulls that I thought I was going to earlier. Okay, so you want your lining right sides up, and you want to get your zipper tape right sides up, and we're going to baste that on. So you can clip it or you can just hold it and baste it. go ahead and move my zipper pulls out of the way. I'm just going to put a clip on the end there so that they don't come off. Okay, that is basted on. Then what you want to do is get the exterior that we just sewed and you place that right sides together. So you've got your zipper lining face up, zipper face up, exterior face down. I am going to clip this because this is more heavy, so it's got more chance to move on me. And then we're going to sew that on at the seam allowance in the pattern. I'm just going to do as close, just over 1/4 inch if I can, without changing to a zipper foot. Exterior is just a tiny bit bigger, but that's okay. I can cut that down if I need to. I'd rather have it too big than not big enough. Down to a joining stitch, and I'm going to sew that into place. Move those out of the way. And that's done. Okay, now what it wants me to do is to trim down body exterior seam allowance to 1/8 inch. So we're just going to cut this away. This will be to just reduce bulk. Be sure not to cut your zipper tape. So that's what I've trimmed off. Okay, so then what I'm going to do is we're going to top stitch. So we want to press these together. I'm going to just clip it all into place, that way it's not going to shift. So you want to get this as flat as possible. When you go to top stitch it. Mine is a little bit bigger on this edge, but that's okay. They give you extra room because of quilting. Sometimes your vinyl will shrink, but I can just trim that off. So that's fine. Okay, so I clip that into place. It's all lined up. And I'm going to go and top stitch along the zipper. Back up to a joining length, a top stitch length. move those out of the way. Okay, so that's top stitched. Now, you're going to repeat the same with your top lining panels. So, your top trim pieces. So I'm going to remove all of this. And I'm glad I went with these zipper pulls because I think the others that I would have used, the big ones, would have gotten in the way of the handmade tag. So as you can see, when that's laying, it's going to be just sitting at the top, so they would have completely covered it. Okay, so you want to get your your lining trim piece. So I want to make sure that that is right sides together. I'm just going to put a couple of clips so that I know that that's correct. And then I'm going to baste that as we did before. Okay. Now I've got my top trim piece. Find the centers. Right sides together and clip that into place. I'm wondering whether I should have interfaced this part. It doesn't say to, but I'll just leave it. The pattern designer is amazing and knows what she's doing. And pulls out of the way. And we're going to go ahead and trim down the same piece that we did prior. Just trim that down to 1/8 of an inch. This is a great idea for people sewing on domestic machines to keep your seams as bulk free as possible. And again, you just want to be careful not to cut through the zipper tape, because if you do, you've got more chance of it fraying. Perfect. Okay, so what we want to do now is fold these up, and we're going to top stitch this top panel. So I'm just going to clip these together so they don't move and they're even. I've never ever made this before. This is my first time. This vinyl does appear to have a little bit of a stretch to it. So I'll make a note of that so that next time I sew with it, I will interface it if I'm using it for straps, or we'll see. I'm pretty sure that I did buy I'm sure it was the same vinyl but in grey when I very first started sewing handbags, and I did not matter what I did, I could not sew it on my domestic machine. It absolutely hated the vinyl, and I ended up using it as interfacing for bags because I just couldn't use it. I don't know what it was, but it seems fine with this machine, but that's because this machine is amazing. Back up to my top stitch length, and don't sew your fingers again. I guess you could quilt this pit. It's not a very big piece, but I probably wouldn't be able to get them to join up for the life of me. Okay, next step. Okay, so now what we're going to do is baste the two layers, the bottom two layers together. I don't want to do the top, just the bottom. I just want to do that bit there because that's the extra bit that I need to trim off. So now I can come in and baste the two layers. Okay, that's done. Okay, pack 4. I can remove these. What I will do is, while I'm here, I'm just going to go ahead and make it even. So I'll just trim that down. And I'm just going to trim off the excess zipper tape at this side, this end. Okay, main panel. Right sides together and clip into place. And I'm just going to base this layer on. And then I want to get my lining piece, right sides together, make sure that it's going the right way. And I want to clip this together. So now I'm sewing this at the full seam allowance given in the pattern. Oh, I've I go back down to you can trim away the lining. Do not trim away your main panel, just the lining. You want to fold these out. And we're going to top stitch. We're going to bring it round, right sides together, clip in place. Okay, so I've got my external pieces, clip those right sides together. I'm going to baste that move your lining out of the way. Okay, now what you want to do is you want to bring your lining and you want to match it up to your raw edge here. So you're just going to have to roll it up. So that's what it looks like inside. Clip it together. Okay, so you want to push this down as much as you can. Okay, because you don't want to catch that. So you might, if you can clip it out of the way on both sides. So now when you're sewing this bit, you're sewing your 2 exterior bits and your 2 linings. Okay, and sewing at your full seam allowance. I want to do from this side, because that way I can see where my basting stitch is. So your full seam allowance as per the pattern. You just want to be making sure that you're not getting any of those other pieces caught. Take this foot, throw the clips on the ground, and you want to pull it all out. So you have one big circle. Then you're going to have to come in and top stitch the part that we just sewed down. So it might be easier to top stitch first if you clip the layers together. Clip. So just line them up, pop a couple of clips on there. Now while I'm here, before I go off and pull it off the machine, I'm just going to baste my 2 layers together that I've already clipped, so it's one whole piece. So that's that side done. Throw more clips on the floor. So now this is what we have. And then we just have to put our top and bottom on. And I'm just going to go ahead and baste all of this together. So that's that bit done. So now all of our layers are basted, so we're now just working with one whole piece, which is what we want. So now what we want to do is move this out of the way for the moment. You want a lining piece and a bottom piece. If you were making this into a bag, you'd go ahead and install your bag feet, but I'm not doing that. So we want to line these up, and we're just going to baste these together. And then what you can do, again, it doesn't matter if you go a little bit off, as long as it's in the seam allowance. That's fine. You can trim off any excess so that they're even. That's that. Okay, so what the pattern has us do next is the same with the top panel. So put these right sides together, wrong sides together, and baste those as one piece. But because I'm using Chicago screws, and it does show the screw on the underside, I don't want you to be able to see the screw through this side. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and mark the line, or mark the placement that it tells you to on your top piece. Then I'm going to go ahead and install my handle and then baste the two together. So I'm going to do that a little bit different. So it tells you in the pattern exactly where to punch your holes. So I'm going to go ahead and mark those. Going to punch these. Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead and punch those holes. because I haven't got the strap ends on my strap, I'm just going to, instead of what it says in the pattern, I'm just going to come in just a little bit more. So I'm going to measure mine in 3/4 of an inch from the edge and mark. Okay, and then I'm going to punch these holes. These Chicago screws that I'm using are the medium size from Voodoo Rabbit. And then you want to put the screw here through the bottom. Just tightening that with my finger before I use the screwdriver. So this is how it's going to be. Oh, that is just too cute, isn't it? So these rivets must be the large size, and they're the only ones that I've got in gold. So what I'm going to do is take this out. So what I'm going to do is get a piece of foam. Just a small bit, doesn't need to be big. I need 2 pieces. I'm going to punch a hole in that and in that piece. And then I'm going to put the screw through. It'll just give me extra height. Put that through there. And then that should be better. Yes, much better. So through the back. Again, this is just anti-slip matting that I bought from the discount shop, and it just stops the 2 pieces spinning at the same time. So the next step is I'm going to baste the 2 layers together. So my top part of the case and my lining. can go ahead and just trim any lining. We've got our main body and our top part. We're going to match up the seams, match up the centers and clip. Now it does tell you in the pattern to staple this part. What I might do is I might just do a couple of clips in the center. Just do a couple of clips on either side of that center mark. And then I might just sew just a little basting stitch to hold these bits in place. So that's just basted on there, and now it's not going to move when I try and sew around the other part. So I'll do the same on the back. So that's those two parts basted on. Now I might just try and clip it first without using the staples and see how I go. I can always come back in and use the staples if I need to. I think I'll just clip it and then I'll come back and put staples in. But I can understand now why the pattern says to use staples. Throw clips on the floor because that's how we roll. It's going in pretty good. I think what I'm going to do is attempt to sew this without putting the staples in. It's probably easier if I sew it this way. And you just want to sew this on in a basting stitch. It's probably easier if you undo that. I also have my screwdriver to help me hold it as I'm sewing it. Just go slow. that wasn't too bad. Okay, so now that that's done, if you're happy that it's not going to shift, then you can come back and do your seam allowance as it's mentioned in the pattern. So make sure your zipper pulls aren't going to get in the way though. And back to the beginning. Did pretty good. You can go ahead and just trim down any excess that you've got, because you want these parts to be as even as possible for when it comes time to add the binding, which is the next step. Now what I want to do is go ahead and grab my binding. I'm just using this fold over elastic, and I'm going to put that on, place it, pop it all around. I'm just going to pull it gently as I go, clip it in place, and then I'll be back when that's done. I've gone ahead and I've put all the fold over elastic on. So I saw this from Kusaya at Saya Swag. So what you do is you get these two pieces and you put them right sides together. Essentially this is going to stop it from having a seam. There we go. The problem is getting it to stay so you can sew it together. That looks a lot easier when other people do it, so that's better. Come in and trim that bit off, and then there we go, that's better because that's a lot more tight. That sits better. I like the idea, but man, I don't think it should have fought me that much. I don't think I'll do that on the bottom. I think I'll just fold it together as I normally do. I'm going to sew this on, and I'm just going to do it at 1/4 inch. Now I should have changed to black thread, but I went to change it and I'm out of black. Now there are some parts that I can see where I've gone from a 1/4 down to an 1/8. So I'll probably come back and do another round. Okay, so that's my first round. I caught it on both sides, so that's good. And what I want to do is just turn it the right way. Make sure that it's good. I don't need to come back in. That looks so good. I'm really happy with that. I'm happy with the binding. So that's what it looks like on the inside with the binding. Be a good idea to put your little sew on label there if you wanted to. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is put on the base piece, right sides together, matching up our center points. I'm going to clip that. I'm just going to put a couple of clips on either side of that center notch. Then what I'll do is I'll come in and just do a basting stitch on these two bits, these two sides here. So that will lock them into place. I'll then go ahead, clip the rest, then go around and do my 1/4 inch, add my fold over elastic, sew that on as I did before, and then I'll come back when that's all finished. Okay, so I've got all of that clipped into place. Now I'm just going to do the final sew on the bottom, turn it out and see what we've got. I did find the bottom easier to sew on than the top for some reason, but it was fairly easy to do. So I am just using the 1/4 inch seam allowance. And I am trying to lay the fabric or the waterproof canvas as flat as I can. Just keep readjusting it as you need to. Almost there. Done. Now we can have a look and see if I caught both sides and turn it inside out. or right side out, I should say. Yes, got both sides and it looks great. So now we can turn it the right way out. I've never made a train case before. Wow. I love it. It's so pretty. And there you have it. That's our base. How good does your base look? Not too bad. So you open it up. And there's the inside. What you could also do is add some mesh or even elastic. If you want to make it as a beauty case, you could just add some elastic up there so you can put some stuff in there. But I just love it. So I'm certainly going to make more. So I hope you found that helpful. I'm going to go and photograph this for my website now. Let me know if you make one. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great day. Bye.
Let me tell you this, let me tell you right now, your exquisite kiss, still burning, didn't know I missed this passion in life. Now I'm addicted somehow. Let me tell you what is up with your smile? It's impossible, not melting, irresistible when I look through